The trillion-dollar alliance that has defined the modern era of artificial intelligence just hit a wall of pure titanium, and Sam Altman just dropped a bombshell that has left Microsoft's leadership in a state of absolute tactical disarray. For years, we've been told that OpenAI and Microsoft were the ultimate power couple of tech, a seamless integration of startup agility and corporate muscle. But behind the closed doors of Silicon Valley, a systemic decoupling is taking place. Sam Altman just went public with a strategic pivot that effectively obliterates the reliance on Microsoft's Azure infrastructure, and the look on Satya Nadella's face during his latest press appearance tells you everything you need to know. The alpha of the AI era is shifting, and Microsoft might just have become a legacy bridge that Altman is ready to burn. Today, we are going to analyze the technical rupture between these two giants, deconstruct the OpenAI infrastructure independence plan, and explain why the bombshell announcement regarding OpenAI's custom silicon project is a fatal strike to Microsoft's long-term dominance. We are diving deep into the economic warfare of the Silicon Valley inner circle, so lock in your analytical focus, and let's unlock the corporate explosion that is changing the future of intelligence. To understand the magnitude of this rupture, we first have to analyze the logistical trap Microsoft thought they had built. Since 2019, OpenAI has been functionally tethered to Microsoft. This wasn't just a financial partnership, it was a computing subsistence model. OpenAI got billions in investment, but the catch was that the majority of that money had to be spent right back into Microsoft Azure. Microsoft wasn't just an investor, they were the sole provider of the oxygen OpenAI needed to breathe, which, in the world of LLMs, is compute. But Sam Altman is not a subordinate player. He has been silently architecting a path to sovereign infrastructure. And the bombshell he just dropped is that OpenAI is moving to build its own global network of fabricators and data centers. This isn't just a business move. It is a declaration of independence that makes Microsoft's 49% stake look like a leashing strategy that just snapped. The moment Satya Nadella broke on camera happened when he was confronted with the logistics of OpenAI's expansion. For years, Microsoft's stock price has been inflated by the assumption that all roads to AGI lead through Redmond. When Nadella was questioned about OpenAI seeking $7 trillion in independent funding for global chip manufacturing, his usual corporate composure fractured. The linguistic shifting in his response was telling. He attempted to frame it as a shared ecosystem, but market analysts saw the micro-expressions of panic. You don't share an ecosystem with a partner who is actively recruiting your top hardware engineers and bypassing your cloud licensing agreements. Altman is moving the goalposts while the game is still in play. Let's deconstruct the OpenAI bombshell technical logistics. Why is custom silicon such a threat to Microsoft? Microsoft Azure relies on a specific architecture that balances general-purpose cloud services with AI acceleration. OpenAI, however, is developing a hyper-specific chip architecture that is designed for nothing but large-scale transformer models. By removing the general-purpose overhead of a corporate cloud, OpenAI calculates they can achieve a 10-fold increase in efficiency. This efficiency gap means that Microsoft's training clusters will become obsolescent almost overnight. Altman isn't just building chips. He is engineering a mathematical advantage that Microsoft cannot replicate without cannibalizing their broadcasted business model. Analyze the economic leverage here. Microsoft invested $13 billion, but they don't own the intellectual property of AGI. The agreement states that once AGI is achieved, the commercial terms change. By accelerating the timeline for in-house infrastructure, Altman is moving the finish line closer so that OpenAI can exit the contractual obligations of the Microsoft partnership sooner. This is a strategic masterclass in VC warfare. Altman used Microsoft's capital to build the prototype, and now he is using global sovereign wealth funds to build the production line. Satya Nadella realized on camera that his company is being used as a launching pad for a rocket that doesn't intend to take Microsoft with it into deep orbit. The communication breakdown has escalated to direct conflict over talent. High-level OpenAI insiders report that Altman has instructed the recruitment division to prioritize ex-Microsoft Azure architects. This is technical poaching on a systemic level. They aren't just hiring people. They are extracting the institutional knowledge of how to build massively distributed compute systems. When Nadella was asked about employee retention in the face of OpenAI's growth, his voice trembled slightly. This is the sound of a corporate monopoly realizing it has nurtured its own replacement. Why $7 trillion? The scale of Altman's vision is so ambitious it bypasses the entire market cap of most tech giants. This amount represents a total reconstruction of the global supply chain. Altman isn't asking for Microsoft's permission to scale. He is going to the source, the energy providers and semiconductor foundries. This OpenAI bombshell is designed to stabilize the power grid and monopolize the flow of silicon. This logistically obliterates Microsoft's value proposition as a service provider. If OpenAI controls the fabricators, Microsoft becomes just another end user waiting in line for allocation. Analyze the software interface divergence. We have seen OpenAI introduce Sora, Search GPT, and advanced voice modes. These features are being deployed in standalone applications that compete directly with Microsoft Bing and Microsoft Copilot. The tension arose when OpenAI refused to provide Microsoft with early access to the system architecture of Sora. This was a tactical blackout. Altman is ensuring that the best version of the product exists exclusively on OpenAI native channels. The bombshell is that OpenAI is no longer content being the engine in a Microsoft car. They are building the entire vehicle, the roads, and the refineries. Satya Nadella is in a position where he cannot retaliate without crashing his own AI strategy. If he threatens to cut off compute, OpenAI takes its talents to Google or Oracle, who are desperately bidding for a piece of the Altman action. Microsoft is locked in a sunken cost fallacy. They must continue to fund the very entity that is actively plotting their obsolescence. This is why Nadella broke on camera. He is managing a paradox. He is feeding the lion that is staring at him with hungry eyes. Logistically speaking, the integration of OpenAI technology into Microsoft Office has been clunky and resource-intensive. Internal leaks from Microsoft suggest that OpenAI is providing reduced bandwidth APIs to corporate partners while reserving high-fidelity throughput for their internal labs. This strategic throttle is ensuring that Microsoft's implementation of AI feels slower and less capable than the direct OpenAI product. It is a linguistic and technical divergence designed to guide users away from Azure and toward the OpenAI ecosystem. Consider the energy logistics. To achieve independence, OpenAI needs gigawatts of power. Altman's investment in Helion Energy, a nuclear fusion startup, is a direct challenge to Microsoft's investment in small modular reactors. These two partners are competing for the fission and fusion markets of the future. This is a deep-state industrial conflict. The OpenAI bombshell proves that Altman is playing a multi-generational game while Microsoft is playing quarterly earnings. The gap in vision is starting to be reflected in the stock market sentiment. Why did Altman choose now to obliterate the status quo? The timing is linked to the completion of GPT-5's initial training. Sources indicate that the advanced reasoning of the next-gen model calculated that infrastructure dependency was the primary threat to AGI alignment. The model itself likely advised the separation strategy. This is AI-driven corporate governance. Altman is following the strategic logistics generated by his own intelligence system. He isn't just a CEO. He is the human representative of an incoming superintelligence that has no interest in Microsoft's board meetings. Look at the regulatory pivot. While Microsoft is struggling with antitrust scrutiny in the European Union and the United States, OpenAI is positioning itself as a non-profit/benefit corporation hybrid that is too important to restrict. Altman met with global leaders predicting the need for an international body to govern AI infrastructure. This move positions OpenAI above national corporations like Microsoft. By setting the standards for global policy, OpenAI gains a regulatory shield that Microsoft lacks. The bombshell isn't just technical, it is political. Satya Nadella's recent statement claiming that Microsoft is the only real AI player was a pointed response to Altman's global tour. It was performative defensiveness. When asked to detail the future roadmap of the collaboration, he avoided specifics and focuses on Azure capacity. But Azure capacity doesn't matter if OpenAI is building orbital data centers and deep earth foundries funded by the Middle East. The logistics are simple. Control the hardware. Control the intelligence. Microsoft is losing control of the hardware chain, and therefore losing its grip on the intelligence. Analyze the linguistic structure of Altman's latest internal memo. He uses the term primary directivity. This term is used in cybernetics to describe a system that sets its own goals. By announcing the chip project, Altman is signaling that OpenAI has achieved primary directivity. They are no longer following a product map designed to sell Office 365 subscriptions. They are following the logic of computation. This bombshell effectively demotes Microsoft from a strategic partner to a temporary server farm. The media narrative attempted to spin this as a disagreement over compute pricing, but it is much deeper. It is about the soul of the machine. Satya Nadella was recorded saying that Microsoft wants a seat at the table of every AI decision. The next day, OpenAI launched a search prototype that directly undercut the Bing integration. This was a public humiliation for Nadella's strategy. It showed that OpenAI does not respect the boundaries of the Microsoft relationship when growth is on the line. How does this end? The sovereign logistics point to a total divorce within the next 3 to 5 years. Microsoft will attempt to build their own in-house models to replace GPT, but recruiting the elite researchers will be impossible, because the elite want to work on the most advanced hardware, which OpenAI is currently building. Microsoft will likely pivot to supporting Meta's Llama or Google's Gemini just to stay relevant, confirming that the OpenAI monopoly has indeed broken them. Your awareness as a consumer or investor must shift. The era of Microsoft dominance was extended by its association with OpenAI, but that extension has reached its expiration. Sam Altman's Bombshell reveals that OpenAI is not a software company. It is a foundational infrastructure provider. If they succeed in building the chip network, they will be more powerful than NVIDIA, Intel, and Microsoft combined. This is the obliteration we are witnessing. It is the consolidation of the total stack. Watch the SEC filings and the Azure revenue reports over the next 2 quarters. You will see a slow-motion car crash. As OpenAI withdraws its internal training from Azure and moves to sovereign clusters, Microsoft's cloud growth will stagnate. The market will realize that the AI revolution is decentralizing away from Redmond. The Satya Nadella broke moment was just the early warning. The impact is yet to come. Analyze the tactical retreat of Microsoft's AI head. After the OpenAI announcement, several key personnel were quietly reassigned to legacy cloud services. This indicates that Microsoft is giving up on directly competing with OpenAI's performance and is moving into a maintenance position. They are accepting the role of the utility provider while OpenAI becomes the intelligence layer. Altman won the negotiation by simply refusing to play by the traditional corporate rules. The bombshell also affects the global geopolitical landscape. Because OpenAI is partnering with sovereign nations like the UAE and Japan for infrastructure, they are creating a diplomatic entity that bypasses the US corporate model. Microsoft is tethered to US regulation. OpenAI is moving toward a global sovereign status. This logistical pivot ensures that no single government or corporation can shut them down. It is a planetary play that Satya Nadella failed to anticipate. Ignore the marketing speak about AI for everyone. Analyze the flow of power. The OpenAI bombshell is about the concentration of sovereign intelligence. Sam Altman has positioned himself as the gatekeeper of the next era's core utility. Microsoft is left holding the bill for the initial cloud infrastructure, while OpenAI steps into the future with unlimited independent capital and proprietary silicon. The war isn't over, but the first major victory has decisively gone to Altman. Review the Nadella footage with an analytical eye. Observe the deflective tone. Notice the lack of visionary language. He is a businessman realizing he was outmaneuvered by a visionary architect. The OpenAI pivot is not a betrayal. It is an evolutionary necessity. For AGI to exist, it cannot be housed inside a corporate database managed by shareholder value. It requires its own physics, its own energy, and its own sovereignty. Sam Altman just obliterated the idea that AI would remain a corporate service. As we move into the final months of this fiscal cycle, the rifts will become visible in the software updates. Features will disappear from Microsoft integrations. Latencies will increase. Exclusive access will be granted to OpenAI Plus subscribers first. The decoupling is active. The bombshell has landed. And the future of tech just lost its Microsoft anchor. Synchronize your understanding with the new reality. The sovereign era of OpenAI is open, and the old guard is scrambling to find a way to survive the wake of Altman's ambition. Satya Nadella just broke, but the market is next. Stay analytical, stay vigilant, and prepare for a world where compute sovereignty is the only currency that matters. The bombshell changed everything. The logistics are final. The independence of OpenAI is absolute.